Good evening. Welcome to the Upset Podcast. We are here, and tonight we are talking about the mission shift, evangelism rewired. Coming up next. Hello. Once again, welcome back to the Upset Podcast. We're so happy that you have tuned in on June 1st, this first Sunday of June with us. And here we are. Hey, guys.
Hey,
And we are slim tonight.
Yes.
it's all good.
Slim, and slim.
It's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
it is because we have
Wise minds.
our audience with us and Tally's joining us, experiencing some technical difficulties, but I think he's going to.
Let's talk about him while he's away. Let's just talk about
I think he's going to reappear. So, how was everyone's week? Now that we're starting a new one, how was last week? I should say.
it's quite busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Man,
May was a very long month. No
it
pun
was.
intended.
Every 31 days we
Oh
for
man.
sure. And GP, your church had a special celebration
Yeah.
yesterday, right?
Yeah. My church in Hampton, New Life, celebrated 25 years of history and legacy. And it was a
Wow.
wonderful celebration with 3 council members, our vice mayor, our delegate of the 86th House was in the house.
Wow.
We made a commitment and a call to our congregation to revision and to reimagine our future. And we're going to be raising $25,000 before August 31st for the first phase of our legacy plan. So exciting
Wow.
times.
Nice.
Go ahead.
I'm sure that really invigorated your members. I mean, to have such an exciting ministry program. I'm
Yes,
sure.
and our pastor Claudia Allen preached a powerful word and set
Amen.
us on the right track for the next
Good.
few months and years.
Amen. Amen.
Right. Congrats to New Life. Hey, Tiff, you're here. You're here right now. Hello, Mike Williams. Thanks for being here. Rodney Grissom, thanks for being here. So Rodney said he's ready to be upset. Okay, we'll do our
All
best.
right.
We'll do it. Tally, are you okay? Should we check in now?
Let me tell you, I've had some strange things happen with computers. This is the strangest I've ever seen, and I don't understand what's going on with this
Listen,
as we speak.
it's about what you have to say.
It must be. I mean, this is literally demonic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Something does or someone does not want you to share what you have to say.
I guess so. Well,
But you're here and we're gonna
well, I am, but part of me is here. But you guys keep talking for a minute. Talk about stuff that's happened, and I'll see if I can be with you in a second.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's right. Rodney said the algorithm was against you, Tally. It's okay. It's all right.
So
yeah.
Marlena is actually headed down to Virginia. What's happening in Virginia this week, Pastor Dr.
It's
Marlena?
the Hamptons Ministers Conference. That is a phenomenal event. I used to even go, GP, before I even knew I was going to be a pastor. Back in the day, you could come in the evening. Yeah, you could come in the evening, come to the services. Yeah, I've got about 5 or 6 bags. Yeah. And you could come in the evenings for free, and it was the best preaching and singing. It was absolutely great. And I didn't get to go last year. School was kind of busy, so I'm done. So I get to go.
This is a great little kick up.
And look, I kept saying I got to get there, money skimpy, because after graduation and traveling and all this, it's been a lot of money, right? And so I'm just looking so forward to it. So leaving home, getting there midday, Lord willing, having a nice time. There's a good number of Adventist ministers who attend, and there's a gathering that they normally have on Tuesday. So
So who hosts it? Who puts it on again? For those who don't know,
It
it just
is, what's their names? They're from New Life. Your
Wait,
people, GP.
you're talking about the dinner?
Yes.
Oh, the Johns family.
The Johns. Regina
oh,
Johns, and what's her husband's name? Forget Regina and
It escapes me
the
right
elder
now.
for a long time. Just say Elder Johns.
Yeah.
okay, nice,
They're
nice.
they're originally from Calvary, but when Calvary helped to branch off or do the new church, what is it? Hampton, New Life, New
New Life.
Life. Yeah,
Oh, you're new.
It's all
Okay.
one church.
they do the
Same
church,
people, one
the
church,
whole
different
church
locations.
planting,
Mhm.
church planting.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to say.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And also,
What in the?
Folks, just keep talking. Keep talking.
this is upset bloopers tonight. Like, what is happening? But
I've
no,
never.
You remember during COVID, so much crazy stuff was happening when people
oh,
would because they weren't using. You would see an eye, or God forbid, if they were in the bathroom. Oh my goodness, you would see all kinds of.
So what else have we been seeing on our timelines? I mean, I know there was one story that I saw this week that just broke my heart about the mom who was about to attend her daughter's graduation and she collapsed right before she could even enter the school.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
You saw that? And then, after the daughter, of course, crossed the stage, guidance counselor was able to come to her and tell her, she needed
Mom
to go
had
to
expired.
She died.
What?
She died, right? And she never got to see her graduate. And so my heart definitely went out to
Wow.
Yeah.
the family, such a big milestone.
Yeah.
And
Was that high school or college?
high school.
Wow, that is traumatic.
Yeah. Speaking of loss, I just this week we lost a pastor, Reginald
Oh, yeah.
Robinson,
I heard that. I saw
a kind man, hardworking pastor. He just completed his doctor of ministry.
Mm.
What?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like last month?
A few weeks ago. And
Yeah.
so his church in Knoxville, Tennessee, praying for the church, praying for his wife and the entire fraternity of preachers who are affected by another pastor dying while in the field.
Yeah.
So what was his age category, GP?
I don't want to misquote his age number because I don't know.
I got you. Never mind. You don't have to guess.
I mean, I think it's safe to say he was somewhere 40s, 50s. Like he was not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't want to I'm just saying I don't know either, but he wasn't like near retirement or anything like that. Yeah. So hello to Yvette. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it was sad. It's definitely sad. But every time I talk to someone, it just seems like death has just become so commonplace in terms of every day. It used to be like once a week, maybe once a month, every few weeks. Now it's like literally every day you're hearing about someone who's passed or some funeral that's coming up. It's this vicious cycle, but such is life.
Folks, I need 3 more minutes. I'm going to switch again, and I'll be right back with you.
You shouldn't switch anything. Just stay right where you are. If you move, that's it.
It's all right, Tally. All right.
It has just been.
Do what you gotta do, Tally. We'll talk. So for Tally.
This is the beauty of live streaming.
Yeah. I was gonna say too, I was excited because earlier this evening we had a meeting with our cruisers. Marlene, I know you weren't on there, but our CamCon cruise is coming up, and so those who are cruising with us for our 10th anniversary, we're getting excited and sharing. We have a lot of first-time cruisers who will be joining us.
Wow.
This cruise. So we're trying to make sure everybody who feels a little nervous know that they'll have those who have a little bit more experience on the ship and who will make sure that everything is okay. I mean, I don't know. I always feel like it sounds like more than what it is in terms of all these things to remember. Once you get on the ship, it's just a good time. So we're counting down to that takes place at the end of next month. So we're really excited about that.
Are we going to meet again? I know Completely forgot that meeting today.
Yeah, we will. We'll meet again and we'll go over all the schedule and stuff. Yeah, cruises are great. And that's why we wanted to do one for our 10th anniversary. Wanted to do a big, we don't know.
8
When's the next
days,
time?
right? 8 days.
Yeah, it's well 7. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it 7? I thought it was 8.
Technically, because we arrive back on the
That's
Sunday.
right. It'll be that morning. Yeah, I got it.
So I want to give a word of affirmation to the communications team, because at the conference last year when they were talking about 10-year anniversaries, I think someone shouted out, "Cruise, CampCon cruise."
That is
People were
correct.
like, yeah, let's do a cruise.
Yeah.
And so it went from an idea to being planned and executed, and now it's really happening. So shout out to you all for making it happen and giving the people what they want.
Praise
Yeah.
God. Praise God. I've been setting big goals and working towards them, right? I feel like that's, I'm not about lip service. So if we say we're going to do it, let's do it. And I think there's 39 of us now. We had a few people that had to, there was, we had about 53 strong.
Wow.
You know how it is with all these things going on. A few people had to step back. Broadcasting from the ship, and we may have to work something out. Who knows where we'll be like a Sunday? Well, we'll probably be cruising.
I don't know who has time, Pastor Grissom, on the cruise.
We won't be thinking about that.
I'm going to be bathing at the pool, sunbathing at the pool.
Yeah. So Tiff says she's headed on a cruise. It seems to be something a lot of people are doing. I think even the 50 plus was planning a cruise as well. So let us know what you guys are doing
Very relaxed
for vacation. Yeah. So I know Tally's trying to get himself together. He's going to intro our topic for the evening. So I wanted to kind of ask our live audience a few preliminary questions just to warm us up on this discussion. And we're talking about evangelism. And actually, Tiffany, it's funny, this show was birthed out of the question that you put in the chat in terms of our tent efforts. Are they still relevant, or are they still effective? Are 10 efforts as evangelism still effective? But we definitely wanted to kind of expand this whole topic, talking about evangelism, into just what is it? What are some of the current trends that we're seeing? What's actually effective? What are some things that maybe we need to move away from? And so that's kind of what we're going to be exploring this evening. So I wanted to find out from you all who are watching right now live, when you hear the word evangelism, what is the first word that comes to mind? Or phrase? We'll give you a phrase. When you hear evangelism, what does that bring up for you when you hear it? Because one of the things we're finding too is people think of different things when they hear I'm sorry, looking at the chat. So Rodney said the Canvas Cathedral. Yes. And then Tiffany said, let's put those tents away. All right. So we hear evangelism. Someone thinks of sharing Christ with others, right? Okay. I'm definitely interested to hear what people think, because I know, as we're waiting for more to come in, when I used to hear evangelism, my mind would go to some type of tent or crusade. It almost seemed like evangelism meant there was some well thought out, planned series that would take place for a certain amount of days, whether it was 7 days, 10 days, and that's what it was. So it was a little different than what we would get every Sabbath. But we're learning that evangelism can take on different connotations. It can be every week. It can be daily. And so, okay, I see some more comments coming in. So we heard sharing Christ with others. Then someone else said outreach, spreading information, and see how general that can be. So evangelism doesn't just have to be germane to the gospel message. It could be anything, right?
But I mean, spreading the information can still be spreading the gospel, but not in such a formal public setting, as a tent.
All right. Getting ready for the final call. All right. This is another thing, and we're going to be digging into this a little deeper. Evangelism is not only an event, but it can be a lifestyle. Your everyday life is a witness. Okay. All right. Here's some other ones. People are knocking on doors And sometimes with the tin can. Remember when you do the evangelism, you have to go around and you're collecting money as part of this. Oh, here we go. Adventist education. I've heard it said several times that um, Adventist education is one of our most effective forms of evangelism for our conference, in terms of having young people come, and when they come and they receive the word, and the parents come and they see how it's affected the children, and whole families can be brought to Christ simply through a child attending Adventist education. All right, community impact. These are good. Evangelism is intentional, right? So it can happen by happenstance, but usually there is something very strategic surrounding it. Health education.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more and more of our churches utilize this through, whether it's cooking classes like healthy eating, exercise. And these are the things that are drawing people who are just interested in those things, not necessarily even looking for the gospel message, but it's an opportunity for us to kind of share some of those same things by appealing to something that they're already um, they're already interested in. So Tiff said knocking on doors is giving Jehovah Witness. Yeah, I'm interested to see how many of our churches are still doing the knocking on doors. Do you guys do that? Any of your churches do that?
My church in Williamsburg does not knock on doors, but they walk around the neighborhood and leave a bag with a small book on the door handles.
Okay. Okay. So you're leaving it. If they get it. You're not interrupting them. You're
They
not
can throw
waiting
it away or read it.
Rodney said 12 weeks of hotness with beasts and goblins on a slide projector.
There we go.
I feel like I literally had that experience as a child when those, and the billboards. You know, I remember when we had evangelistic series in South Boston, Virginia, where I'm from. We would get the big billboard with the evangelist, and sometimes, you know, the series had a really captivating name or a title, and then all of the sessions were something like, what does this mean, you know, and people were curious about what each topic was. That's a lot of what I remember as well from this. Okay, great. So we've heard from you all. Thank you all for sharing in terms of evangelism, what, when you think about it, what it means to you. And so we're going to explore a little bit more. We're still waiting for Tally to come, but in the meantime, we're going to kind of talk through some of our dialogue concerning this. So one of the questions we were contemplating is, you know, when we think about evangelism and the mission being to bring others to Christ or make them aware of Christ and his saving power, people, you know, it was said that our mission, there was a time when people were not aware of who Jesus was. And so the main point was to share Jesus is your savior. Jesus. Now we're at a time, some feel, where people know who Jesus is. Even if they don't believe him, they are aware of him. They see him. They, you know, they watch TV, they see people pray, they see these stories, they've seen all these things related to Jesus. And so some feel that the mission has shifted from necessarily informing people about who Jesus is, but instead now shifting to maybe sharing why he needs to be a part of their life. What do you guys think about that? Do you feel like the mission has changed slightly to not just an introduction, but more of a kind of an invitation to?
Asking how we do it, or how do we see others doing it?
Yeah, like when you think, do you feel like the mission has shifted a little bit in terms of maybe there was once a time where in your ministry you were having to explain who Jesus is, but now you're at the point where you're now saying this is who Jesus is and this is why he wants to be in a relationship with you. Has it changed? Is it the same? I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, for me, I think I do introduction and relationship building with Jesus.
Okay.
'Cause that's is even important for those who are in the church now. So you do outreach and inreach at the same time, because many people see evangelism different, or they see Christ differently. Something, I just get baptized, and I'm good with Jesus. That's good, but there's no relationship building, and so they're easily discouraged, easy to maybe fall away, right? Because they don't know how to build that relationship. And then you have that discipleship component in there too, to, kind of help them to build that relationship, fall in love with Christ so then they can tell somebody else. So I think that that's more lasting than just the introduction.
Okay. I receive that. What do you think, GP?
Yeah, I think the shift has been like like Rodney said, going from informational to being more relational. And so my aim evangelistically is to just build genuine connections with people. And then when I get to the point where they're comfortable, to the point where they know, like, and trust me, I can have a conversation about whether they love the Lord, whether they know who Jesus is or not. So it begins with relationship, and not with just, do you know the truth? Do you know which day you're supposed to worship on? So yeah, there was a time where I thought evangelism was about whether you are a Sabbath keeper or not, but I have evolved because that was ingrained from the evangelistic events that I went to.
Right.
And they were like, listen, do you worship on Sunday or do you worship on Saturday? And they would have you quiz the person next to you. And, some of the things that I've experienced and heard, they make me cringe to think that I was a part of this, right? And so our whole approach needs to be relational and not informational.
Yeah. So someone in the chat, I didn't put it up, but they were saying that it goes beyond just relational, but a commitment. So the goal is to have that relationship, then move to this point where they're making a commitment to follow Christ themselves. So I mean, noted. So Tally,
Huh?
whatever you have to share must be so good.
I want to apologize to all of our.
All is well, my friend. All is well. We know how technology does.
Well, I would suggest that under the circumstances, we get right to it.
Yeah.
Because only God knows what might happen next.
My glasses to see, Tally.
As my colleagues have already mentioned, Lord have mercy. And it disappeared, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It's okay.
And you know why? Because that's exactly what you would anticipate happening. Is it back? Is the screen back up?
No,
Natasha? It's not back
yet.
up. That's because I'd have to go back and present it again and share screen again and put my right foot in and take my right foot out and do the hokey and turn myself around.
Good thing our audience is primed tonight.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Nothing yet, huh?
I see, but I don't see.
All right. Let us try one more time. And this is, this every once in a while, I'm praying, I'm saying, Lord, is there something that I'm saying that you don't want the people to hear? If so, then move me out of the way. And
I see something. Let's go.
Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Do you see it?
We see it. Do you see it?
I see it.
Okay.
We are re-examining the mission that is supposedly ours. Okay. Let's start it off like we should with any kind of mission, and that is by definition. Now, these theologians that are with me, they already know, but evangelism, or the mission that we have, evangelism, comes from the Greek word euangelion, which is a compound of a prefix "eu" and the word angelos, "eu" being good, angelos being messenger. So evangelism comes from a Greek word, which means good message. All right. Now, we always think of it in terms of the gospel, but the first time the word evangelism or euangelion occurs in the Bible is not even in the New Testament. It is in the Greek Septuagint in the Old Testament in 2 Samuel. When David was speaking and said, when someone told me saying, look, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good news, I arrested him and had him executed in Ziklag, the one who thought I would give him a reward for his news. That word there, good, that two words, good news, is actually the word evangelism or evangelion, a good message or good tidings. And so, for the sake of those who are listening in, let's define evangelism, or this word that is supposed to be at the heart of our message, as the act of bringing favorable tidings from a distant source. It's someone coming with a message that you would consider to be favorable, okay? Now, that's just the cold definition. No definition is worth its salt until you put it into a context. And for us, our mission, which is evangelism, is in the context of the words of Jesus found in Matthew 28 that we commonly call the Great Commission. If you've been in the church for 5 hot minutes, you have heard these words that Jesus uttered to his apostles after his death and his resurrection, when he said that all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. Now, everybody can look at that and clearly see that there is mission in these words, because there's certain words that just leap out at you. I mean, there's certain words that just have action written all over them. Fellas and ladies, what do you see? I mean, think about it. What words leap out at you when you look at this text?
Go, baptize, teaching.
Yeah. I mean, these are all action words. And when we think of evangelism, we take on a mindset of action, because Jesus tells us, go, baptize, teach. But that's not what that text is actually saying. There's only one verb in this text, and it is not the word go. It is not the word baptize. It is not the word teaching. In fact,
Is it make?
You're getting close. You're very close to it. I mean, it is, and our theologian friend there is right. The only verb in that sentence is make disciples. The word go there is actually the weakest action word in the text. It's a word that simply means journey or travel. But the word that we're looking at that really is at the heart of our mission is make disciples. It comes from the Greek word methetusata, which means to get other people to become learners or students. That is the only verb in the text. In fact, the word go there is not go at all. It means as you're traveling or as you're going about. So when you really look at this text, the way it has been translated most recently by theologians and exegetes is this: as you go about or as you're going, make disciples. And you'll do this by baptizing them and teaching them to observe all things that I directed you. But the focus of evangelism, the focus of our mission, is the making of disciples. Okay? Now, let's just kind of recap what we're talking about when we talk about this disciple making activity that is ours. It is the act of bringing favorable news from afar. That is first. The focus of our mission is making disciples. It is not baptizing. It is not even teaching. It is making disciples. And baptizing and teaching are tools to help make disciples. The mission, according to Matthew 28, is not programmatic. It's not something that you do as a program. It is organic. Somebody say something there? It's organic. It's relational. As a matter of fact, the text assumes a relational connection as you're going about. In other words, these are people that you're meeting as you're going about. You're not going across seas to go find them. It's as you are going about, while you're in the middle of your relationships, you are supposedly helping other people to learn certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, it says that there are certain activities and rituals that will be a part of the disciple-making process. But that is not the aim. That is just a tool to the aim. All right, so let's just get used to some methods here. If we're focused on making disciples, the methods can be varied. I mean, you can do it through correspondence. You could take them to a tent crusade, or you can have them do it online, or you can have one-to-one Bible studies. The method is secondary. The focus is on making a disciple, which is a relational concept. The question we have to ask in all of our activities, are we making disciples? Now, if we lose that focus, the disciple making focus, and start getting into the baptism focus, or the how many Bible studies did you get focused, the numbers game of it, we will find ourselves in trouble rather. Let me demonstrate. Spectrum magazine. It was originated in the West Coast. It is a progressive magazine serving the Adventist community and talks about a lot of cutting edge things. This past January introduced us to this man, Pastor Ari Sidral, who is the evangelism director of the São Paulo conference in Brazil. He was one of the leading evangelists in the world. In fact, baptisms in Brazil and in South America were going through the roof. Spectrum introduced us to this man because he baptized this woman. Her name is Diana Rodrigues de Oliveira. He baptized her, and in fact, he actually baptized her entire family, just a part of the large number of baptisms they were having in South America. But then somebody noticed something. They had seen her before, and it was discovered after thorough investigation that Diana Rodrigues de Oliveira had been baptized over 10 times in less than 3 years. Her children had been baptized several times as well. And many of her friends and neighbors had been baptized several times as well. And then a Bible worker who had worked with them came and spilled the entire beans and says that he had led to over 600 people being baptized, and all of them were baptized for money. The union gave money to the evangelists. The evangelists gave money to the Bible workers and the pastors, and they gave them to the people. And these people would get baptized again and again and again so that they would drive up the numbers. Because they weren't focusing on discipling. They were focusing on the numbers. And if you lose your focus and start simply thinking about adding numbers, you get into the danger of what we saw in South America. Jesus saw that coming, warned his followers about it when he was talking with the Pharisees and said, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You travel over land and sea to win a single convert. And when you've succeeded, you make him twice as much a child of hell." That's when you're going after numbers. So if we're talking about the mission being making disciples, how do you do that? Because just going after a baptism is easy, but making a disciple is a little tougher. The Apostle Paul, the Apostle Paul said, listen, 1 Corinthians 11, verse 1, imitate me, just as I also imitate Christ. Now, you can't get a person to imitate you if you ride in a Bentley, have a meeting, and then shake their hand, baptize them, and then you're out of town the next day. It means that you've got to have a relationship with people and work with them so they can watch you, see you, and follow after your example. The writer of the book of Hebrews says something very similar. Remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you. Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith. In other words, evangelism, our mission is to be close enough to people, connected enough to people, that we can teach them how to follow by their watching us. We say some of the stupidest things. Don't look at me, look at Jesus. Like they can look up in the second floor and watch Jesus and figure out how to live by watching somebody in the sky. When the Lord said, you're the light of the hill. You're supposed to be the one that they're watching. Even better than that, counsel given to us a little closer to home. Many of you have heard of this woman, Ellen G. White. The name of the book is Ministry of Healing. There are many people surprised right now thinking that I don't quote her. You are wrong. Because she said, Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good. He showed his sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, and won their confidence, then made them follow me. Relational. Notice what he says. He mingled with them, connecting, relationship. He won their confidence. You can't do that, hit or miss. You can't be the North American Division president, fly in, have a meeting, and then leave town and say that's evangelism.
Mm.
Now, it is proselytizing, it's preaching.
Right, right.
That's not what evangelism is. Okay. I'm going to close with this because at the heart of our message, we preach the three angels message beginning with Revelation chapter 14 and verse 6. And all of you have read this before. This message is at the very heart of what evangelism is. I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God, and glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and the springs of water. And another angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. What we don't realize is that is a model of evangelism. Remember what I said? It's when somebody brings good news from afar.
Mm-hmm.
This angel, I mean, the very word in here is evangelism. The word that is used is everlasting gospel, ionos evangelion, everlasting good news. This angel is saying, I've got good news. You got to put it in context. In Revelations 13, we have a beast that gives rise to another beast who persecutes and removes the powers of the people and threatens them with death. But then an angel says, I've got good news, everlasting good news. And that is that your God is in control again. The hour of his judgment has come. The word judgment there doesn't simply mean examining. A judge was somebody who ruled the people. He shall judge the earth, it says of God. I've got good news. Even though you just saw those two beasts tearing up Jack, your God has taken control. His judgment is now holding forth. It's the same thing that Daniel saw. When Daniel saw beasts swirling around in the midst of the universe, and in Daniel 7, he looked up and there was a court seated because the judge, the old saying is true, here comes the judge. And the good news is that the way we know the judge is in control is because our enemy has been defeated. Babylon is fallen. That is mission critical. That is what we are designed to do. It is through going around going around organically, rather, making connection with people so that they can know how to live, so they can know how to follow. It isn't creating programs, it's creating relationships and teaching people, and then proclaiming the news that we have the victory. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I stand to be corrected by the wisest minds and the broadest hearts to be found anywhere in the business after all of this demonic stuff that's going on with my
Shake those demons off you, buddy. Shake them
what
off.
say you are? Hey, Shabba.
Amen. Amen.
That was great. That was great.
That was worth the wait,
That
Tally.
was worth waiting for.
Like Rodney said, the intro had to be given because it definitely changes perspective. I think when you were breaking that, go you therefore, it's so true. We literally have campaigns based off of the word go. But not so many. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't see any that say make disciples, but I do see that there is a heavy focus on the go, a heavy focus on the baptism, and even focus on the teaching, but not as much in the making disciples part. So I'm so happy that you pulled that out as the main.
Yeah, it's what the text actually says. I mean, it is. Remember, the same Lord that we said go told them stay. Stay into Jerusalem until power is coming upon. So it's not simply, it is not creating a program. Look, Pentecost 2025 is a program. That's fine, but that is not what it's a program. Evangelism comes when your members and mine, when we, as we are going about, we are making connections with people. And in those connections, we're teaching them how to follow. That is our mission. That's what we are called to do.
Yeah.
I want to say, I think that more people are inclined more to really teach that relational part with evangelism. I think, we all see, the numbers come in and it looks good. The people seem so excited. When you go back to that parable of the seed and the sower, and you see the issues that, cause people to fall away so quickly, it is true with every with every baptism, to be exact. And so how do we, nurture the people? Because God, they've accepted Jesus Christ, as their savior. But how do you get to really nurture them, along the way? And I love what you just shared, Tally, because Jesus nurtured them by caring for them, taking care of their needs, winning their confidence. That's conversational, right? You're having conversations about maybe the issues of life, and they learned that trust. So they didn't see Jesus as some crook, right? But he was somebody they could really trust. And then Jesus, hey, follow me, right? Be disciples.
I sense that in many instances, because I remember evangelism back when I started. You didn't want, you did it with rubber gloves on. You didn't really want to touch people. First of all, you wouldn't tell them who you are. We'd go out, we'd have some euphemistic name, the Step Up to Life, or the Happiness Crusade, or the New Life. And they said, "What church you from?" "Oh, we just children of God." And then once it was over, we packed up and we disappeared. We went back to our church. Those who would be saved followed us. Those who would not, they out there and they sin and just doomed. Notice the expression, it is as you're going about. It is, the relationships are already there. You're already moving amidst people.
So are we saying that these 10-day evangelistic series are not necessary, or?
It is, it's not either or, it's both and. The focus has to be on, see, this is what bothers me. The focus for us is on the going and getting. But after they are gotten, we don't have programming for them.
After they're gotten, they're forgotten.
Mercy.
See, only GP. I mean, this man can spin them like nobody. I mean, and so we will give you $3,000 to go get them. We will spend $150,000 for an evangelistic meeting to go get them. But when you got them, where is the support to make sure that they are being discipled? I mean, it doesn't happen by osmosis per se.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that discipling part, I mean, and I know you kind of asked this too, Marlena, like, I don't think we know when we've reached that point with someone, when they've been fully, a lot of times we feel like once they've been baptized, all right, we've made a disciple and we move on. Right. So how do we know when that person is, I don't want to say solidified, but is not in danger?
Is performing as a disciple? Is that what you want?
Yeah, like, we talked about taking the time and even the investment in properly discipling someone. So even beyond baptism, just continuing to nurture, is that, like, how do we know when we reach that point with a person? Or is there a marker to determine that this person?
It is more process than it is. It's more journey than destination. I mean, like Paul said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." He's still following Christ. You're still following him, and everybody's still growing. And they have their own arc, and so litmus test. I mean, now there are tests. I mean, it is, for example, one test is baptism. You're being discipled. What do I do now? Well, if you're willing to follow Christ completely, then you surrender your life and you pick up his. That is baptism. You submit yourself to teaching. That is a part of discipling. I mean, these things are checkpoints along the way. The fruits of the Spirit can now be identified in the life of the person.
Okay.
And these are all waymarks that let you know that the discipleship process is building. In the old days, it was Have you received the Holy Ghost? I mean, in those days, we're speaking in tongues. And then later on, the Apostle Paul said, tongues is the last of all the gifts that you should be looking at. He said,
And also, Tally, the love for sharing of the gospel. You see people, I mean, I've seen people I've baptized, they start bringing on their family members, because they just have that fire and that excitement, and they're on their jobs. Hey, Pastor, I brought my coworker, right? And so you see that fire that they have of sharing that good news of Christ.
Yeah. There's no place in the New Testament where anyone says we're going to have an evangelistic meeting. It just doesn't exist. I mean, because evangelism was an organic thing. And people say, well, Paul was an evangelist. He would go have meetings, and he would stay, and he would live with the people, and he would immerse himself, and he would meet with them in the synagogue on a weekly basis. It was an integration of life. And that this is not to say that having an evangelistic meeting is bad, but if you talk to either of your church members and say, we want to do evangelism, they're going to say, well, Pastor, when are you going to start your meeting?
Yep.
Because it's some program that you do.
Yeah.
Tosh, can you go back? Tiffany had a really good question about evangelism and an evangelistic effort. She wanted to ask Tally.
Is this the one?
Yes, I think so.
Do you think that evangelism crusade should be heavy prophecy?
My honest answer is no. I remember Emil Peeler, whom I really appreciate. Brother Emil gave a presentation one time. He said, when we go in evangelism, next thing you know, we throwing all these monsters at people, and and then we wonder why they act crazy. You get all these people looking at all of these goons and freaks flying around in the sky with 7 heads and 10 horns and all that. Prophecy. And when we talk about prophecy, we're talking about the foretelling of future. Adventism does that because that is how we were birthed. Now, the unfortunate thing, it was a mistake when we were birthed that way. We thought that the Lord was coming in 1844, and he didn't. So then we came up with something else that said, well, this is what happened in 1844. And ever since that time, we have been predicting and you ever hear the saying that a watched pot won't boil?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a Christian watching the clock. When they asked Jesus in Matthew 24, what's going to be the signs? Basically, he told them about what was going to happen for the ending of Jerusalem and the end of the age. And then he said, you'll know I'm coming when you see the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens. In other words, you know I'm coming when you see me coming. You don't watch the clock. You occupy. As you go about. You don't wait to see whether or not the Pope has a size 8 shoe, and does he brush his teeth with his left hand because that's a sign. You just go about it, and as the signs reveal themselves, you take note of them. But you don't focus on it, making people anxious. God is not in the business of scaring people into the kingdom by showing them dragons and monsters.
But Tally, as ministers of the gospel in the Adventist church, we know we are compelled to preach, that 3 angels message. And so members will think if you're not preaching, then we're not following the guidelines that we're supposed to do. So that's why we see all of, the evangelistic focuses on the prophetic word, Revelation and Daniel, because we feel commissioned that we must teach that.
It is, if you notice in the New Testament, how many of the New Testament writers are telling you, look for this sign, look for that sign, look for this sign, look for the other sign, and then that sign's going to happen.
Sorry.
Yeah, Gamal, they were only Gamal. I mean, but the idea. I mean, we do that. And when you say the 3 angels message, the 3 angels message has to be understood in context, and that is, you've got in Revelations 12, you got a dragon. In Revelation 13, you got a beast. In Revelations 13b, you've got an image to the beast. I mean, and it looks like they have taken over the world. It starts off with the dragon chasing, the man-child. Then the believers have been curtailed in their ability to live and move and have their being. Revelation 14, the 3 angels message,
Good news,
is the everlasting gospel. It's saying
True.
Hey, even though you saw all that, God wins.
Yeah.
That's right. And when do we hear that? Right? The God wins. And once you get, can we get to Revelation 20, 21, 22? Can we get that to the
But
good
if
explaining
you
part?
start focusing on, what color, what size sneakers the beast is going to wear, and whether or not he's going to chase you into Fairmount Park or Central Park, and if you go into all of that stuff, then you lose the focus that God wins. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's what that's the everlasting gospel, the eternal good news. In spite of the fact that hell has unleashed every weapon that it can muster against you, but then in Revelation 14, you immediately see the Lamb standing on the mountain with 144,000 perfectly saved people. That's the everlasting good news.
And if people could understand that these beasts are representing nations and things like that, and the transitioning of the nations and the worsening of the nations in these evil times, and I love how what you're saying for us to proclaim how Jesus wins, right? And so that helps people to understand in these times when I mean the governments now seem just chaotic in this world, right? And people are without hope. And so if you're able to share with them, that Jesus wins in the end. If we hold on to Jesus, and then we will win. That's important to know. And so there are parts of prophecy that they must understand, that these things are going to happen, but in the end, Jesus wins. And sometimes I think when I'm speaking with my young adults, I don't get that from them. They're talking about, I got to run to the woods. I got to hide out. I'm scared. They don't get to the good news.
Yeah.
But I want us to think about it. I mean, because it's those of us who preach and teach the gospel. It's a light that shines more and more to the perfect day. But we have been constantly. This is Revelation 14 for us. This is the three angels' message. God's gonna haul your hips in the court, and He's got the goods on you. And He ain't gonna tell you when He's gonna haul you in, and He ain't gonna tell you whether you passed or you failed. And then there's a beast waiting to eat the rest of you up. That is not good news. I've been subpoenaed before. It ain't never felt good.
Oh my God! I just remembered something.
You supposed to be in court right now? Sunday. Tomorrow?
I was supposed to go to court on Friday. I was
good news.
On the jury. I better call them before they arrest me.
Oh, it's good news. You going to court?
Oh my goodness.
So I'm not sure if I truly forgot.
Judgment has come. Judgment has come.
No, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat as we're talking about this in terms of, having some new believer programs or classes so that people can further their teaching. Say they've gone through a series, but now they want to learn more, dive a little deeper. So I'm seeing a lot of people suggesting these post-baptism classes, even maybe digging a little deeper into some of those doctrinal things in a smaller group with other new believers. What are your thoughts on that process?
No, post baptism, baptism for us is it. Get them in the water. That is not what our mission. Our mission is to use baptism as simply a tool of discipleship. The focus is: are we teaching people how to walk? That's the focus. And how you do it can vary, and so but the idea is to teach people how to follow, and that comes through relationship building and being close enough to them so that they can watch you and be a part of you.
That relationship is very, very important, because you can have the continued classes and the nurturing classes to teach people, but people are so busy these days that oftentimes they don't attend much, or you might have a small number who do, because I know we have post baptismal classes and things like that. And so it really takes nurturing people, loving on them, being the example for them, as you say, to keep them encouraged so that they will attend, because the issues of life takes precedence over everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, our focus, a lot of times, our focus as Seventh Day Adventists is to make people Adventists. Okay, I accept that. That's our focus. And by make people Adventists, there's certain touchstones. Are you smoking? Are you eating pork? Are you?
Mm,
I mean, there's certain things that we kind of look for. Did you take your jewelry off? I mean, now that's changed a lot, because nowadays, you know, you go into a church and people look like Liberace. I mean, we star spangled, but you know, so that one's not as much as it used to be. When you
Hmm.
gonna stop eating meat? You know, I mean, the little things that we look for that are behaviorally oriented. But what
yep.
the Bible teaches is, are people learning how to live and walk and be like Jesus was?
Mhm.
Those are the fruits of the Spirit. Are they showing gentleness, meekness, kindness, patience, temperance? I mean, that's the thing that the Bible looks for. But I have a friend who's an Adventist minister who said that our job is not to bring people to Christ. Our job is to get people out of Babylon. I don't agree with that. But a
Hmm.
lot of Adventists think that way, that because they say the three angels' message is to call people out of Babylon. The three angels' message is the everlasting gospel. And it is letting people know that God has defeated Babylon. So you can leave her because she's fallen.
Hmm. She's going
Yeah.
in.
In many ways, oftentimes we elevate Adventist culture over Christ, and we, make an idol out of it instead of just focusing on becoming more Christ-like, which will in return make our communities
Yeah.
more Christ loving, warm, welcome, and nurturing for those who come in and accept Christ. And so that will help with retention. But if we keep on being jerks and hypocrites, why would I stay and be a part of that? So it starts with conversion and being Christ-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that's sticking out for me in all of this is we're talking about what evangelism really is, being less programming, and even in many cases, more a part of our lifestyle, meaning everyone is commissioned to be an evangelist.
Mhm.
You see the flyer and you see the person evangelist, so and so, and it's almost like I thought only certain people could have that title based on what they were sharing, what they were presenting in a series. It was reserved for those who were commissioned to. But I feel like what we're saying now is individually, we are called to be evangelists, meaning we can make disciples of our neighbor, um,
Hmm.
showing them how to follow Christ. We can make disciples of a coworker. So we are going about our lives not just as a witness, but actually an evangelist, and it's okay to refer to ourselves as
Yeah.
such.
I
Yeah.
tell my members all the time, like we all may have different professions, but we all have the same purpose. I don't care if you're a plumber, janitor, educator. Um, I'm a pastor, yeah, theologically trained, yes, but we all have the same purpose. And my job as a pastor is to equip you to be an effective evangelist. So
Hmm.
I'm literally trying to put myself out of a job to empower you to do the work. It's not one person doing it for you. We all
Hmm.
do it together. And when we start doing that, our churches will double and triple, literally.
And,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's done something to us psychologically, like even when you're getting ready for an evangelistic crusade, evangelistic thrust, all of the attention and energy is focused on a meeting, a certain time frame. And then all the while, there's your neighbor, or there's that person that you're encountering every day that you're not taking advantage of, and being intentional about building a relationship with them and bringing them to Christ. Everything doesn't have to be under the banner of a series or under the banner of,
Right.
it can exist every day.
Yeah. It if we allow it to, I mean, it's organic growth. If we allow people to grow and allow for growth, I mean, we will be better at the task of discipling individuals. I've discovered when Tasha was saying that all of us are evangelists, real evangelism takes place at the granular level where people live. I know a lot of shepherds who have growing flocks, but none of them are sleeping with the sheep to create new sheep.
Mm.
It has been discovered that sheep make sheep better than shepherds do.
Well,
And what you have to do is create the atmosphere and the environment and nurture so that sheep do what sheep do well. And if we allow that and stop aiming at the numbers, you
mhm.
know, if we stop aiming at the numbers, I
Yeah.
know we're not going to, but I just stopped by to suggest to you that the text does not ask us to do as we have been doing. And if we keep doing as we've been doing, we'll keep getting what we've been getting, which
Mm.
is a bunch of converts, as Jesus said.
Yeah. Now I will say, because we're in the year of Pentecost 2025, and I know we referenced it. I do believe that when we have these type of initiatives and in these pushes, it is to kind of reawaken something in us to remind us of what we should be doing. A lot of times it does translate for some churches into some type of series. But it's almost like, I know a lot of people are doing that 75 hard challenge where, you're
What's that?
so it's where for 75 days there's a series of things that you have to do, and it includes diet, it includes healthy eating habits, it includes like learning a new hobby or being consistent with something. So obviously the goal is after the 75 days that these are lifestyle changes that you're going to make going forward, because these are things you should be doing anyway. I feel like when we have things like Pentecost 2025, that's the goal, to get us into this mode of we're being intentional, so that even when the year ends, 2025 is over, evangelism doesn't stop. It continues going, but you're allowed to build the momentum, because
Mhm.
you more intentional about that. And I kind of just wanted to say that, but I don't think we recognize that as much as we should. It's like, all right, it was 2025. All right, what's next for 2026? What's next for 2026? Evangelism should be something that is just ongoing. But I do think sometimes we have these campaigns and these initiatives to kind of kick us back into gear. What do you guys think?
Hmm.
Oh, for sure. I mean, some of us do nothing, right? And when we're doing nothing, we sit around and we start fighting and complaining with each other and fighting what somebody isn't doing. And I love what you guys have been saying, because people have to follow us as we follow Christ. And oftentimes many of us aren't following Christ. We are
Mhm.
just into what we don't do, right?
Right.
But and so we think, when you come into church, you don't do this, you don't do that, right? And I know we got to zoom in, but I like to remind us what real salvation is. I was reading Romans chapter 10, and it says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. He didn't say after you understood the 28 fundamental beliefs. He didn't say after you stop eating pork, after you understand that the Sabbath is the true day of worship. But they're saved when they accept the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the
Right.
message. And so if we don't live that, and all we do is live what people should do and what they should not do. And I heard one lady say, I know what the Adventists don't do, but what do they do?
Mm.
Mercy.
And she was in church. What do they do? Right. And so if we learn to love Christ and love people, Tasha, you don't need that ongoing, kickstart, right?
Yeah.
You're already doing it. As Tyler said, we're building relationship with people because we love God. You can't help but tell somebody how good God has been to you. But if you don't know that God has been good to you, you think all that you have is because you got it. You go to work and you do this. So then church is then just a place where you come and you hang with your people because it's just a country club, right? And so you're not doing anything and you're fussing and fighting and people can come to any conclusion, but we can be some very mean people.
Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah, that is very true.
See, that's not
Well,
evangelism.
It's
Or
not
it's
evangelism.
not evangelism, right? Yeah. So no, this is good. This is good. Um, wow. So at AY one Sabbath, the young people said we're the church of the don'ts. And I really think we need to We need to change. We need to change that.
The Adventist church, and look, people think that I'm talking about the church that I love, just to be critical, but the Adventist church has a sense of mission, and the sense of mission is to make sure that you're different from everybody else, because after all, you are reflective of the one true church of Bible prophecy. This is Adventist thinking. And so you have to be different. And we pull together what I call identity theology, things that make us different from others. And we highlight those things that make us different from others. And then we make statements that we have, quote, the truth, which is a very static statement, which means that whatever it is we have can't be wrong because it is the truth. And so we go about starting to defend what we believe, and it's us against them. And when you make statements that other churches are the daughters of Babylon, it's hard to have relationships with people if you think they're going to chase you in the woods next week. And so these are issues we've got to sort out. Rodney, right? Say we're not God's peculiar people. We're God's oddballs. I mean, and that this is stuff we have to sort out. We for over 150 years now, we've been thinking that all we need to do is to separate from the rest of the people in our society, and God will come and scoop us up and leave them here. And they have two questions to ask, original or extra crispy, and we'll be gone. And and we ought to by now come to the conclusion that maybe we need to see things differently. I hope we do.
Yeah, and I know we're going to end, but I would like us to end talking about some of non-conventional ways, because we started off with this question kind of being birthed out of our 10 efforts, still an effective means of evangelism. But I think it's important to talk about some methods of evangelism that we may not have thought about, aside from befriending a neighbor or being in a relationship with your coworker, because I feel like in this day and age, social media has become a major evangelistic tool, even in building the relationships, which we said is a big part of it. A lot of people are using social media as a means to reach out to people, to share something different than what they may be exposed to in other places. And I really feel like that is a growth area. And also small groups. Small group evangelism is really making a comeback, because we found out even during the pandemic and post-pandemic, I forgot the percentage, but a large percent of people are suffering from loneliness.
Yep.
Even creating spaces for people to connect in small groups and have a place of belonging is becoming a very effective form of evangelism, because people are finding community, and in that community they're being exposed to Christ, and they're actually having people who can grow with them on this journey. And I think those are definitely methods of evangelism that don't get the flyers and don't get the big attention, but are definitely being effective in our church today.
Can I share one idea that someone can run with? What if you reached out to the local, I don't want to say nursing homes, but funeral homes, who oftentimes are in connection with families who are grieving the loss of loved ones. The newspaper may have posted their name. Reach out to the family, send a care package, and invite them to join your group grieving community that happens every week or month, and build a genuine relationship with the person, and let the chips fall where they may. But you can make connections to those who are grieving and hurting intentionally.
And you're meeting a real need. I mean, this Christ method alone, like that's what Christ did. He went to people who were indeed met their needs and said, "Follow me." So we can. And Rodney mentioned the Compassion Project is catching steam these days, and that's right. You should know that our conference, sponsored a few of our churches to take part in that, and so many of them are sharing some great results from the diaper drives, community baby showers. But even with that, we talked about it not just being that 1 week or those 10 days, but continuing after the fact to nurture those individuals after that need has been met.
So no more bait and switch.
Yeah, no more.
I think Jesus always touched the broken. You know what? He was healing sick, right? And raising the dead, casting out demons. He always touched the broken. And this earth is full of broken people in your community or wherever it is that you go. If we are willing to serve, Tosh, and let people know we love them and we care for them, there's never not a time people will say, "What church is this? Where are you guys from? I'd like to visit your church." It's never a time that we don't get that when we're out, reaching the broken.
Yeah.
And if we can let them know, as Sally says, that good news, man, that good news cannot fail, that God loves you. And it won't always be like this, right? And you'll see the lives of people changing. And when you share that good news, you are blessed, so it's reciprocal, that blessing that is received between the two parties.
Amen. Amen. Rodney shared something real quick too. He said a pastor friend of mine had his church adopt a local mom and pop restaurant. Not local. They all went there on Sundays, and the restaurant owners and employees started coming to their church. So because they're pouring into a small business, building community, then they want to, oh, you came here, now let's see where you all are. I love that. Like that's
yes.
And we like to eat.
Yep.
You know, like, so that should be easy. I love these innovative ways of building connection, because I think that's really what it's all about. And glad to see it. What are you gonna say, GP?
I was gonna say Uber, when it first came out, instead of spending a lot of money on ads and commercials, they paid people to wrap their personal cars to promote their product. The idea is, as you're going along your daily activities, you are spreading the word. And so if we're wrapped in God's love, I don't care where you go, you are a walking billboard for Christ, and you ain't gonna get paid money, but the stars in your crown. Hello, somebody. Bling, bling, bling. So just be Christians. And as you're going, you'll be a witness for Christ.
And I feel like hearing you say that, and even hearing what Marlena said, I feel like maybe we don't believe the message ourselves yet. Because when you have good news, you want to share good news. When there's a good sale going on in the store, you want to tell everybody 50% off, go. You're excited, you reap the benefits yourself. But with the message, if we don't have that kind of fire, we may have to go and say, do I believe this thing? Do I really believe we win in the end? Because
here's the thing, Tasha, if you're really wrapped in God's love, you don't have to say much.
That's true.
That's right. It's the life lived. That's right.
Well, if no one is looking at your life and being attracted or it's not appealing, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be something that draws. So if you don't find yourself drawing, does that mean maybe something is
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's way off, because most of the time with evangelism, people expect church leadership to do it. It's not for me.
I don't have to be. Yeah.
I might come. I don't know if I'm coming or not. Right.
Yeah.
So even if they think it's programming, I mean, many people don't even want to participate in. Well, I'm too shy. They're too shy to share Jesus.
I will challenge those who are listening. If you have not led a person to Christ in the last 5 to 10 years, you have to ask yourself what's wrong with your Christianity. Because healthy things tend to grow. Trees produce fruit. And if you're not leading people to Christ, then you have to ask yourself a question. I mean, why is it that God is finding me to be an unprofitable servant? And I leave here, we're meeting out. I'll be with a woman and with others. This woman was sitting in her house. Somebody came in and shot the guy who was in the house with her, shot her, and unfortunately shot her 2-year-old baby and killed her that was in her arms at the time.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is ministry. Tomorrow I have a visit with a woman that I don't really know, but somebody asked me if I visited her in the hospital. I did. She says, I'm afraid I don't know what's coming. And her family said, please, can you visit her again? You're the only one she'll talk to. How much do we have to pay you? Yeah. I mean, That's not how this works, you know.
Right. Yeah, this is
But it's witness, and it is satisfying, and it's dynamic. It's not programmatic. It's as
Mhm.
you're going about.
Yep.
as
So,
you go.
That's daily work, daily
As
life.
you go. Mm,
so
I like that. Mercy.
I,
Wow.
I apologize for the lateness, everybody.
Listen,
That's
It's worth
great.
the
who cares
wait.
about that now? That's old news. The gospel was preached tonight. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for everyone your comments. Thank you for those who were watching, and of course, what do they call them? The our electronic evangelists,
Oh yeah.
digital
Evangelist.
disciples. Yeah, yeah. You all were on point tonight, so thank you for your commentary, and I hope that we've upset your thinking a little bit as it relates to evangelism, and a lot of what we prescribe tonight. Some of it's free. Just saying.
All of it is
Yeah,
free.
yeah.
It's free. Okay.
Yeah.
But oh, that's a good question, LB. Um, I just put it up there because I know there's somebody else who might have. I
Yeah.
think somebody touched on this too. What about those who are believers but they may never join the SD church, but their lives are changed? Have we accomplished our goal?
If they
Absolutely.
believe in Jesus, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of course,
I
the
was excited.
the upper administration of the denomination doesn't feel that way,
Right.
because you can't raise your hand on that one. You know, they don't have a category saying persons warned. You know, so
Yeah. All we can do is
We have to do what Jesus has called us to
yeah.
do. And I think as humans, we try to find some type of way to make pastors and churches engaging. And so, they come up with those strategies. But, sometimes we do what Jesus does. Some join, some don't join, but everybody comes to Christ. It's a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Ultimate.
well,
That's the goal. We win.
yeah.
All right. Once again, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Upset Podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Who was it? Rochelle, I think, came in and said that. Thank you, Rochelle, because I'm horrible at doing that. So, yes, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place.
Peace out, everybody.
Take
Hi,
care.
everyone.
Stay wrapped in God's love.
That's right.